Hello everyone, this is Devin Adams again, and we are in our next video in our series of creating an advanced NSE4 Test Lab. So a continuation of our basic NSE4 Test Lab using GNS3 that was recorded earlier. And in our previous video, we got the pfSense working. So guess what, guys? At this point of the video series, that is it. It worked just the way that I wanted it to. So each one of these ports have a 10.200 address listed on them, all right? And that way they can get out to our FortiGates here. So just remember, if you see a 10.200, we're going to make believe that that is a public IP address. So the very first thing I'm going to do, even before I talk about the objectives, is I am going to remind myself that by creating a quick little label. So there's a little pencil icon up here. And I'm just going to say 10.200.1.0. All right. And then you can right click and to duplicate that. Sometimes you got to be careful not to make it too busy. All right. And the way that I wired these together, the port 1, if I remember right, actually sat on the bottom, but that's just because of the order I did it in. So I'm just doing this to kind of remind myself of what the IP addresses are. Here we go, 3. And wow, look at that. We've even ran out of room. We're going to have to grab everything and kind of stretch. Whoop. Wouldn't that be nice if you could cable stretch like that in real life, right? Who needs a repeater? All right. Here we go. Port 1. Okay. And we'll duplicate that. There we go. Just cleaning that up a little bit. So anyways, guys, in this video series, so we're done. I mean, this guy right here, awesomeness, is all taken care of. And I meant to split that up into 2 separate videos, but I kind of just rolled with it and everything turned out okay. So go watch the previous video if you want to see how to use pfSense as a little pseudo WAN connector there. So happy about that. That was way easier than I thought. But anyways, guys, and then we also had to configure the local FortiGate in this management PC enough to get out there and to configure it. And yeah, we even configured this interface here to reach out and to test connectivity all the way through, which we were successful. So in this video, the objective here is going to be the continuation of configuring both FortiGates. All right, so I am going to put this on pause of configuring our endpoints here, and I'm just going to get the remote FortiGate set up. That way I can do both the remote PC and the management PC at the same time. So let's have at it. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to fire up the remote PC because once again, it takes a while to get everything booted and everything settled. So while we are fiddling, we'll go ahead and let that boot. Now this remote PC is going to be the Windows 10 machine that we did earlier. So I just kept it here in the topology. So now I'm going to go to my management PC and continue tweaking my local FortiGates and also my remote FortiGates for my lab. So here we go, double click. Oh, looks like I got too many of those VNC windows open. And I'm going to log in and let's finish maybe just doing enough here to get us up and rolling. So once again, you get 15 days the second you drop it. And I realized that, hey, why couldn't I adjust the system time right when I was in the last video, and I realized, you know what, that's probably locked out for a reason, right? Why? Because we could just adjust the system time back and keep these licenses going on forever. So that is why I'm assuming you can't configure that. That is just fine, okay? Let's not worry about that right now. But what I do want to do is, if you're using this local FortiGate as a test machine in this test lab, it gets real annoying to get locked out every 5 minutes. So let's go ahead and start there. I'm going to go to my system settings. I'm going to go to my admin settings. And the admin lockout, I'm going to increase to a full whopping, are you ready? 480 minutes. Don't do that in real life, okay? So But here it is all right. So I'm going to hit apply. And that way we can leave our GUI pages open, eat some cheese and crackers, and not get logged out. All right. So also, we successfully finished that pfSense. So technically speaking, port 2 should be configurable now. So let's go ahead and test that out. Now this one I'm just going to leave ping access on. I'm not going to try to reach it using HTTPS or HTTP, all right? Because in real life, we probably wouldn't even have ping traffic turned on. But here we go. Let's go ahead and call this WAN 2. And our role is going to be WAN. And it's kind of interesting that you get the bandwidth estimates. Now, I'm not going to mess with that for right now. But it's interesting. It pops right to DHCP, like assuming you have a dynamic IP address. But we'll go back to manual. And it'll be 10.200.2.1. All right. And you guys saw me do that in a previous video. All right, and that's it. Boom. We now have a WAN 2. It still needs a default gateway though. All right. Well, I guess technically it doesn't. But if we want traffic to be able to get there from the internet and pass reverse path forwarding check, and you guys should remember that from class, we got to come here and do another quad 0. But this time popping out of port 2. And then the gateway is going to be 10.200.2.254. All right. And this is going to be our redundant internet connection. You guys didn't see my quotes there, my redundant internet connection. So check that out. Pretty neat stuff. Now, equal distance, equal cost. So the FortiGate's going to participate in equal cost multipath forwarding. And I've done plenty of videos now with the WAN link load balancer, which Fortinet has rebranded to SD-WAN and the rules and all that jazz. But if you just configure it just like this, it will start load balancing. So some things to keep in mind there. But I want to test connectivity real quickly by pinging out. So let me go to my FortiGate there. Let me see. And I'll do this from the FortiGate. All right. Let me just do an execute ping pong to 10.200.2.254. All right, there we go. Okay, so how do I know what path that it took? Well, let's do a trace route. My bad. You guys can't even see that. Let's do a trace our route up, execute, trace route. All right, to 10.200.2.254. All right. Okay. And route to there. How many hops? Geez, it didn't even tell me which interface it left. Geez, man, I wish there was like a debug command or something like that I could do, like a diagnose, debug. Let's see here. What is it? It is diagnose. Sniffer. There we go. Packet. And we'll say any interface. All right. And then we'll do ICMP traffic with the veracity of 4. All right. And now let's go ahead and go back to our I'll get a second prompt here by using the CLI widget. All right. So ping execute ping 10.200.2.254. All right. There we go. Oh, you gotta love that debug sniffer. And as you guys can see, it is leaving port 2. Now, why didn't I just do that on my management machine? Well, guys, you know this, right? My management PC has one default gateway, so it'll always use port 1. But you guys can see here that because it was sourced from the FortiGate, it knows that the direct path is on that actual interface, and it took it out. So just proving there that port 2 is working. Now I'm kind of just rambling on, so I better just be quiet. So it works. That's all I wanted to know. All right, so we configured the second gateway. We also configured the what you call it, the timeout. What else can we do here? Well, you know what? Actually, for right now, I just might be fine with that, because let's go ahead and hop over to the remote FortiGate and do the same in kind. Now, the remote FortiGates is accessible at 10.200.3.1, and we tested its connectivity earlier on, didn't we, guys? So it's not working. Cute. And it's not working. Come on, buddy. You can do it. You can do it. Did I even turn access on for that? Let's take a look real quick. I can't even remember. So here's my remote FortiGate. So we'll do admin, config, sys interface, show. Alright, so there you go. Ping, HTTP, HTTPS. Alright, alright. It should be working. I'm not too sure why it's timing out there. Let me try this. Let me try to do 10.200.3.1. Nope, that should be right. Can I ping it? Let's take a look here. We can always configure it the long way too, which I don't mind. So ping.200.3.1. Look at that. What is going on there? Interesting. Interesting. So let's do a trace route RT 10.200.3.1, and let's see where it's failing. That is real interesting. I didn't think it would wig out like that. That's not good. Is it not even leaving my FortiGate there? I'm seeing a little timeouts there. Let me hit an X. Let me do a IP config and just see what's going on here. So no, I mean, that looks okay. Let's do a ping dot 0.1.254. I mean, that works, right? Let me go ahead and do a 200.21 something something. Okay, I can hit the PF sense. All right. And let's go to 3.254. Interesting. Interesting. That was working earlier. I'm almost sure of it, right? I do not get what's going on there. So that is very interesting. In fact, a little part of me suspects that some form of asymmetrical routing might be happening, because the FortiGate is doing that distribution, and usually the traffic's multiple hops away and not just one. So let me try to adjust that real quick to see if that's the case. Now I'd probably go into some more in-depth troubleshooting if it wasn't what we're trying to accomplish here, but let's go to our static routes and let's give this thing a different priority. So we'll do a higher priority. Heck, we could even take it out of the routing table altogether by giving it a higher distance. So there we go. Now it'll only go out port 1. All right. See, yeah, it had to do with the PF sense doing asymmetrical routing. So a long story short, guys, if that broke, okay, you're probably going to want some more intelligent load balancing. Way different topic. Way different topic. But if you run into that problem, just make sure that your port 2 and your port 1 have different distance, different priorities. So The pfSense, by the way, just didn't know how to return the traffic because of natting rules and things like that. That's fine. All right, here we go. We got to the remote site now. So this is the remote FortiGate. Okay. Sorry for that intermission there, and hopefully I didn't lose you guys too much. And I now know that the pfSense might route the traffic back differently based on how it was natted. I keep forgetting that it's a more intelligent device than what I give it credit for. It is a stateful firewall. So anyways, so here we go. Let's go ahead and do what we did for the local side, but here with the remote side. So let's go ahead and hit change, and we'll change this to remote. Come on, remote FortiGate. Okay. And you know what? It can get really confusing when you have two FortiGates in a lab that look identical. So guess what I'm going to do once I adjust my timer, right? I'm going to go over to my system, and I'm going to go to my admin settings, and while I tweak that timeout value, right, to 480, I'm also going to scroll a little bit further south and change the theme to red. That way there's no question about which FortiGate I'm in. Alright, so I once had a participant that took one of my classes. He gave the greatest suggestion, and I'll just pass that along. I'm totally stealing this. But his FortiGates, depending on if they were like a branch FortiGates, if they were like a edge FortiGate or a DC, not a DC, a data center, right? Well, I guess you can say DC, data center. I'm thinking of domain controller. They had different colors based off of their roles, and I'm like, that is genius. That is genius. So just something to take into consideration. In our test environment, though, guys, honestly, change the colors. Change the colors. So that way you know where you're at. So let's go ahead and keep on keeping on by going to our interfaces next. And port 1 we did by hand, but now on port 2, we are going to give it the other IP address of 10.200.4, right, .1. So here we go. I will call this WAN 2. And I'll let you guys tweak around with the bandwidth settings. You don't have to put those. Manual. It's going to be 10.200.4.1 with a /24. All right. And we'll just do ping access. Okay. Boom. All right. I'll go to port 1, label them. So, all right. WAN. You don't have to do these roles, by the way, guys. They come into play when you start doing things like the cooperative security fabric by defining roles. It really makes it a little bit better of an experience. I think I have a video floating around of that somewhere. Anyways, they just try to hide options for you so you don't break it. So, all right, and normally we wouldn't leave these management interfaces on a WAN interface, but it's our test lab, so we're cool with it. All right, and then we're going to go ahead and define the the LAN interface. All right. Here we go. Oh, it's thinking. It's thinking. All right, here we go. So LAN, and our role is going to be, well, LAN. All right, and we are going to have a 10.0.2.254/24, and we will keep these management interfaces up and rolling. Here we are. We might have to go through the CLI and enable the insecure ones here. Well, that's okay. And I do not want that scope so big. Here we are. ARG. Here we go. 125. Gives us plenty of space to statically assign IP addresses and device detection, right? I want to know what we plug in there. Okay. So not quite done yet. Let me get a commit with that. Everything's slowing down here. I think that Windows 10 is finally booted up and starting to do its awesome Windows 10ness. So, meaning, you know, do its updates and all that good stuff. So we already have one here for port 1. I'm going to hit a create new. And once again, guys, just to keep the symmetrical routing involved with the pfSense, just give it a different priority or a different distance. So what's the difference between the two? Well, take my class. No, I'm just kidding. If it has a equal distance, they will both make it into the routing table, which is great for things like essentially DMZs, right? So we have two internet connections that might come in through the FortiGate, but are one going out as a primary. So we changed the priorities, so only one WAN is used, but it knows that the internet lives beyond both of them there. Anyways, I'm going on a tangent here, but yeah. So in our environment, in this specific situation, just change one or the other, and I might have to save that for a different lesson. And I totally just screwed that up. That's supposed to be the gateway. That's what I get for talking. Alright, there we go. So we got the quad 0 in there, meaning when I don't know, I want you to leave out port 2 and get here, but don't use it unless the other one goes down. That's pretty much what we're saying. Alright? And you know what, guys? It wasn't symmetrical routing. It wasn't symmetrical routing. You know what the problem was? The problem was, I bet you anything, the firewall rules. Yeah. Son of a gun. Yeah, I didn't put both interfaces in the firewall rules. I am a turkey. Whatever. We're moving forward. Okay. Oh, if you guys ever take my classes, you know that I'm so like this. I'll be like, watch me do cool stuff, and I suck. And then out of nowhere, I'll be like, oh, I remember. Anyways, guys, policy and objects. We need to write a firewall policy before anything can happen. So what I meant here is we needed both of those interfaces in the other firewall in order for it to work. And I only had one interface, and as it was doing multi-cost path forwarding or whatever, equal cost multi-path forwarding, load balancing the traffic, it wasn't allowing it back because of the firewall rule. I'm awesome. So I'm not going to make that mistake here. In fact, I'm going to take the opportunity just for fun. No, maybe I won't. Forget it. I was going to make a zone for that, but you know what? No, I'm good. I'm going to just keep it simple, right, guys? So I'll let you guys do that because this is your lab, right? So here we go. We'll call this internet access. Our ingress is going to be our LAN. Our outgoing is going to be our WAN. Okay. Our source is going to be, once again, we might as well just give the object there. And I'll just call this something simpler than before. I'll just call this local or LAN subnet. And I'll just do a 10.0.2.0 with a /24. And in case we ever need to use it in routing, sure. So, boing, yoing, 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 should bounce. I cracked up when I first saw that, by the way, the jumping around. Anyways, destination, the internet's a pretty big place. So we'll say all, and services, all. Normally we'd be a little more granular than that, at least with the services, but hey, it's cool for right now. And yeah, we don't have any logging configured yet, so we'll hit OK. And there we go. That should be it, at least for the remote FortiGate for now. So how do we test this? How do we make sure everything's okay? Well, I'm going to hop over to my remote PC, which should be the Windows 10 machine. Oh my word, there it is. And then I'm going to grab a command prompt here. All right, PowerShell. What's a PowerShell? Is that kind of like a Ninja Turtle or something? PowerShell. Yeah, this is going to take like an hour to load up for the first time. Come on, I just want a command prompt. Oh, that was my actual computer. You guys like that? You saw my kids head going into a bag there, playing with a bag. I hope CPS doesn't come and call me, knock on my door. No, he took a little sack and he was trying to be silly. My little 2-year-old. Alright, we don't want you, PowerShell. You're way too resource demanding here. Once again, one of the mini changes that Windows 10 does for us, right? And you know what? Even before I could get command prompt to load up, I bet you it's still crunching. Come on, man. You can do it. I promise you. Just give me the command prompt. CMD. Yep, CMD. Thank you. Command prompt. I thought I did that already. This is why I use Windows 7 in these testing environments. See, now they all catch up. Arr, you asked for command prompts. I'm going to give you command prompts. No! Jeez, what a resource hog. The thing about Windows 10, guys, is when you first boot it up, seriously, you have to give it time to settle. And that's a real deal thing. Alright, so it goes out there to the internet, especially when it first connects to the internet. And I can tell you right now, the DHCP did kick in and we are connected, but I'll confirm that with an IP config. But I mean, it's just doing all this weird like indexing and it's doing all this crazy stuff in the background and it just takes a bit. So and honestly, normally I just stick with Windows 7 because it's probably the most lightweight version of Windows that is out there that's still supported. Either that or like a Ubuntu, a light Ubuntu distro to do some like graphical web-based management. Anyways, let's do a ping to google.com just to confirm that, and yes, we are connected and all is right with the world. So there you guys go. That concludes setting up the 2 FortiGates, and I'm serious, we're coming to a close here. As you can see, we did the basic firewall policies. We did some settings, all right? There's one last thing we need to do, though. I just realized this before we conclude this video, and I think this video has been going on too long. But let's go back to our management now, and because we are in a good place, right? We're in a good place. Let's back up our configs, all right? So we've done enough here to where I'd be pretty bummed out if we lost our configuration files. So even if these are trials, you can still save and drop configs. All right, there's different limitations to using the trial versions of the FortiGate, like this time one, for example, and you'll see those pop up. But I'm gonna hit backup, and I'm gonna say to the local PC, and I suggest even maybe taking these off of GNS3 and storing them somewhere in case your GNS3 needs to be wiped. But let me go ahead and hit save, and I'm going to right away open that folder. Alright, and I'm going to give that backup configuration something that makes a little bit more sense. So remote, so instead of just having the date, I'm going to say, you know what, initial configuration. Perfect. Mwah. Magnifique. Alright, so, and then let's go ahead and go to this guy over here. Okay. Oh, I still cannot believe I screwed up that interfaces. Anyways, didn't really screw it up, but I'm like, why is this equal cost load balancing not working? And I thought it because it was asymmetrical, and that still might be the case, but anyways, guys, what I meant was on our firewall policies, we only have one of those interfaces defined. So when it was popping out a different port, right, because of equal cost multipath, yeah, we're getting into trouble. So I'm spoiled by the link load balancer that I use in real life. So, all right, here we go. Okay, so dashboard. I know, every time. Here we go. Back up. All right. Hit OK. Hit save. Open the folder. All right. I'll just call that once again initial. So I always rely on the dates modified there to see which one is which if I only have single config files. Now obviously if I was doing this in real life in a production network, there'd be some naming convention that probably have some kind of revision tag to it. But alright guys, that is it. Our FortiGates are configured. Woohoo! So when we get into the next video, we are going to finish by setting up our end devices. Alright, so I hope you guys enjoy this, and I will see you guys in a few minutes. Take care.